Hello and welcome to this faster version of the Stampscapes Live that just aired last night. We're working on a piece of 5x7 matte cardstock, dark blue, and we're applying some white pigment ink to it. This white pigment ink is going to provide a base coat for our imagery that is to be stamped on here, and we're applying it because stamping black imagery over the top of this really dark paper won't have enough contrast for those images to show. And we also want to create kind of a moodier, kind of a moonlit, foggy night here, so I'm providing a foundation for it. I'm kind of winging it here. I have a general idea, a very, very general idea of where imagery is to be placed, but it's largely improvised here. Okay, so in that upper right-hand area where I'm kind of doing those little streaks from, that's going to be a place for a glow-in-the-dark vinyl, printable vinyl sticker paper. Okay, so I've added a lot of kind of solid areas, and I've oscillated the light and dark on this paper. I don't want to block off everything because that's the whole idea of why I'm using a dark paper. Okay, art foamy versions of the birch trees going in here to frame off this large composition. It's not really so large if you fold the paper and it's a 5x7 scene, but when you have it viewed as a double page spread, having this kind of framing around it provides a good compositional kind of containment. Okay, now I've stamped some grass down below, and I'm going to stamp this reclining figure in this area. But now that I know where the figure is going to go, I'm adding more white pigment ink down there to lighten it up so that the figure shows even more. The figure is largely dark, but there's a few areas on the arms and on the edge of the form that are lighter, and I wanted those to show up. Okay, I'm going to stamp another figure right in that area where I'm applying more white ink. We're providing a little bit of a foundation for that figure with a sedge filler, and there that figure goes into that spot. Up in this upper right-hand area, I'm going to provide a structure. So I'm adding some additional white into that area, again, so that the lighter areas on that form will show up. Okay. The imagery is stamping onto the scene a little bit lighter than black, and it's because I'm stamping it over so much of that built-up white ink. Okay, now, this is something that I didn't plan in the beginning, but I thought, okay, I was thinking this was all going to be on one hill, but I thought making these separate hillside slopes would be kind of more interesting, so I'm adding the edge, the top edge of what will be three different kind of, I don't know, slopes or hills here, and I'm trying to get the edge of it with this white pigment ink, okay? So there's two, and they're slightly kind of arced, just instead of just going directly horizontal, and I thought these arcs made for a more kind of graceful composition, and it added variety. Adding some sedge filler right into those arcs. I didn't want it to make it look, I didn't want it to be a snowy scene, so I'm adding the grass texture into it. Okay, giving the imagery or composition a little bit more containment, we're adding the overhanging tree limbs with the leaves to the piece. And I have that moon kind of position there just so I know where not to, stamp some leaves. I didn't want any leaves behind the moon, of course. Okay, now adding in our structures are, in this case, the tombstones. And when I add in these tombstones, the piece, I felt, really started coming together a lot more, just in terms of kind of being able to recognize the distance or depth in the scene by adding different sizes of tombstones. So we have the smaller ones going in the far distance, these medium ones right in between, and the larger ones are in the foreground. Okay, stamping out a fence here for a little bit of a kind of a visual lead-in and foreground elements. Another fence in the distance there. And I thought another structure there in the right, or the left-hand part of the framing would look good. Adding our critters. We have some bats going in. I stamped this cat on top of that form right there. We have this deer going in. The deer isn't really a spooky thing, but anytime you add kind of glowing eyes to anything, it adds a kind of ominous element. Some textural variation into the scene, but also continuity. This winter brush kind of throughout the different forms adds kind of this craggy branch throughout, but it doesn't cover things up, so you get the textural continuity throughout. And then, to expand on that textural continuity, we're adding the tiny rock small in the background, midground, and foreground here. And this is all done in black ink. You want to use a bit of a thicker black ink on this type of matte paper. So I used hybrid ink, but also black pigment ink. Okay, I just adhered my glow-in-the-dark moon. I stamped the moon onto that glow-in-the-dark paper and I just cut it out. And now we're going in to the scene with some detailed lighting. Before it was kind of a softer lighting with the pigment ink, applied with a cotton ball. But now we're going in with the sharper types of media on here, light media. Now here I have a white pastel pencil. Of course, the pastel pencil works really well on this matte type of paper. And right here, what I'm doing is on the sides of those birch tree trunks, I'm adding the highlight on the side of the tree facing the moon, or our light source, whatever your light source might be. Going on top of my forms right here, my kind of those sculptural figures lying on the ground, and on the top edges of them, I'm just like the trees, I'm adding the highlight on the sides of the figures facing the light, so those ones happen to be on the top side. Going back in and refining the light and varying the lighting on those tree trunks. Okay, and I keep kind of trying to blend it in a little bit. I'm going kind of across the trunk here. And with the pastel, if you add too much, you can just take an eraser. You can just kind of rub some off with your finger. Okay, a black colored pencil, or you can use a black pastel pencil. I just happen to be using my Crayola colored pencil, and I'm creating some extra shadows. I'm talking about transitioning your shadows a little bit, going from dark to light. Darker where the the forms are casting the shadow and just kind of dissipating it and transitioning it. Now going back to the detailed lighting, we're using our extra fine paint pen, and you can see where the paint pen, this acrylic paint pen, is quite a bit lighter than either the white pigment ink or the pastel pencil. And I'm highlighting everything. I'm highlighting the sides of the fence posts, fences, some of those hillsides, and our forms right here. And this is where the piece really starts coming together in terms of kind of your visual focus by having these detailed highlights in here. Everything gets a bit soft using the white pigment ink everywhere, and things like the pastel pencil. We lose a lot of the crispness, but this is where we reintroduce it with these paint pens. Right on the top of the tombstones. At the end of this video, during the live stream, you'll hear a car crash that happened right outside of my room. Crazy things happen in live streams at times. Okay, now I'm adding in a bit more of this foggy type of element in the front of my imagery. We have it in the back. Now we go back and go full circle and add it into the front. All right, so this is our card right here. Well, I hate to fold this over, but that's the way it's going to be. So here's our card right here. So see that as a, boy, I'm not sure. That looks pretty good. I might like that composition the best at a, you know, whatever, even that or the open. What the heck was that? Did you guys hear that outside? Oh my God, there was a car accident out front. This Tesla just ran into someone's car. Oh my God, it banged into a car, parked car, and then that car went into front. I think the car that hit is pulling out of there though, but we'll call this, I need to go check on people. Everything looks fine. Oh my gosh. Anything can happen in a Stampscapes live stream. Okay, so there's one card right there, or one composition. Here's another composition right here. That one doesn't look like a full composition. We need like some other element right here maybe. But then you get the open one like this, okay? So it's almost like three scenes. They're gonna look at it like this, they're gonna flip it around like this and say, oh, and then you get the full page spread like this. This type too, I've mentioned it in the past, this could be the interior spread where you do like a Happy Halloween or something like that. And then they open it up like this and it's like a big spread like that. So it can be pretty fun.